Hello and welcome back to the Baggies podcast YouTube channel, where of course we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. We are back again today with another video and the start of a new series. It will be a three-part series. It's very simple: keep, sell or loan. We'll be looking through the entire Albion squad. Of course, the transfer window opening today as I record this, the 10th of June. So yeah, plenty of deals that Albion can get done, but who's going to be going out the door? Who should we be keeping? Who should we be selling? Who should we be loaning out as well? We'll be looking today at the defenders and goalkeepers, so we'll be looking through them. We've also asked for your guys' say. You guys have been getting yourselves involved on Twitter by voting in an individual poll for each player, so we'll be taking a look at what you guys think, the sort of consensus among the fan base as to who you guys think we should keep, sell or loan. But yeah, to get involved in future videos like this, make sure you follow me on Twitter at thebaggiespodcast or myself at louisben_. All the links for that will be in the description. But yeah, let's crack on. We'll be running through all the goalkeepers and defenders in this video, but make sure you subscribe for the midfielders and of course the attackers parts of these videos. But yeah, let's crack straight on and drop your thoughts down below on who you think we should keep, sell or loan. You're watching the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. For match previews, match day vlogs, match reactions and more, make sure to subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. So the most reasonable sort of place to start with is the goalkeepers. Of course, we've got three of the... Well, I guess I should probably make a disclaimer that these are kind of players that have played in the first team this season, made first team appearances, that are currently at the club. Of course, those who in the release list are leaving, then I haven't put them in, like the likes of Sam Johnston, Romain Sawyers, Andy Carroll, who will be coming up in future, the attackers and midfielders in future episodes. They won't be in any of these because, of course, we know that they're released and they're not going to be coming back to Albion. But we'll start with the goalkeepers that are at the club. We've got three of those at the moment. Those are David Button, Alex Palmer and Josh Griffiths. So let's start off with David Button. Of course, the most senior of these goalkeepers, 33 years old. He's got the championship experience, I think, is probably the biggest ploy I can say about David Button. He's definitely got that experience and has played plenty of games in the second tier, over 150 appearances, So, yeah, he's definitely got that experience in the championship and is very knowledgeable about the league. He's played there many times, and out of the three options, he's definitely that. A reason I'd probably keep him, I'll set my verdict out as, but I think he should be second choice. I think there are other options further down the line that I think could potentially be number one next season, and of course they will challenge him. But at the moment, I think we know that David Button is going to start the season sort of as the number one with Alex Palmer challenging. But I don't think he's done much wrong since sort of coming into the side for these final games of the season. It's just a shame, I think, that Alex Palmer hasn't kind of been given that chance at the end of the season like Button has. I don't think that's kind of a fair chance when we've got nothing to play for. But I think all being said and done, I don't think he's done very much wrong. So yeah, I'd probably keep him, but I think maybe I'd look to promote Alex Palmer maybe. But yeah, let's have a look at what you guys think. Of course, you guys voted in the Twitter poll, which you'll be able to see probably down here, I'd say. 75% of you, 75.7% of you said keep. 23.7% of you said sell, and 0.7% of you said loan. So the majority looking to keep David Button, agreeing with myself. Moving on to Alex Palmer, of course, I think it's about time he was given that chance. I think he's 25 now. Hasn't really had the chance at Albion. Been with the club for quite a number of years at the moment, and I think it's about time you gave him an opportunity. He won promotion with Plymouth in League 2, played very well with Lincoln in League 1, and I think it's about time he was given the shot as Albion number one. I think he's waited for that chance long enough. So I would keep Alex Palmer. I'd keep him in the squad, and I'd probably promote him to number one and at least give him an opportunity to impress. Because of course we know what Button can do. We've seen what he's capable of, and he's a solid championship goalkeeper, Button is. But I think Alex Palmer, of course, not with a massive championship experience, only a couple of games whilst on an emergency loan at Luton, but I'd definitely give Alex Palmer a go. And of course, 2 new contracts for both those players, so I can see them being very much in Steve Bruce's plans. But let's have a look at what you guys think. You guys voted for 84.5% to keep Alex Palmer, 7% to sell, and 8.5% to loan. So the majority, once again, looking to keep Alex Palmer. On to the final goalkeeper now, sort of a younger goalkeeper, definitely, and one that Albion feel is one of the brighter sparks in there to come out of their academy and a future Albion #1. Josh Griffiths, a young goalkeeper, done very well, promoted with Cheltenham, sort of mirroring Alex Palmer's loan spells, really. Got promoted from League 2 with Cheltenham Town winning the league, and then, of course, went on loan to Lincoln, but this time, of course, had a little bit of an injury, which ruled him out of the sort of back end of the season. But I think he's probably ready for that loan in the Championship for me. I'd like to see him given that go, maybe the year after next, depending on who's sort of in the frame for that #1 spot. But I think it shows a good bit of progression to have sort of these younger goalkeepers in, and shows the benefit of having the academy. If you've got, especially Josh Griffiths, who I think is a really good prospect, of course. Yeah, I think I've spoken to quite a few Cheltenham Town fans who feel that he's the one to kind of elevate Albion's status in the goalkeeping department, and he's a good successor for any future goalkeepers. So yeah, I'd give him a loan in the Championship if he's not going to play. But that said, give him the chance to challenge David Button or Alex Palmer. Give him that opportunity. Why not? Why not? Give him a try. But yeah, what do you guys think? You said 25.9% to keep Josh Griffiths. That's sort of keep him at the club and give him some game time. 1.4% of you said sell, so there's clearly a lot of you feel that he could be a real prospect, and 72.7% of you saying that he should be given that loan. I think a Championship loan is definitely best for him. Yeah, I quite like Josh Griffiths, and I think he's going to do a good job in the future as a future #1, so keep your eyes out for him if he does get that loan next season. On to the defenders, though, of course, moving on to them. We'll go through some centre-backs first and then round off with some full-backs. We'll start with Dara OShea, who for me, I think has to be one of the better centre-backs at the club. Of course, sometimes played right-back under Steve Bruce, played right-back, I think, under Bilic in the Championship as well, but I think centre-back is his best position. And I think he's fully capable at Championship level. He started off the season with a blast under Valerian Ismail, but I think there's a bit more to his game than perhaps that. And I think he is future captain material. I think you keep him in that side for a few years. I think he loves Albion, and I think you should give him. I think we should give him a real go in that zone. So yeah, 95% of you voting to keep Dara OShea, 4.3% of you opting to sell him. I personally wouldn't agree with that. I think he's one of our best assets, and I think we should keep hold of him. And then 0.6% say that we should loan Dara OShea out. So yeah, majority saying keep the Irishman in the squad. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. Hopefully in that preferred role of centre-back rather than right-back. I think he's definitely more suited to the centre-back role. I don't think he's quite natural enough to play in that area. So yeah, absolutely, I'd give Mr. OShea the chance to keep his place and keep his chance going. So yeah, fully capable at Championship level for me, Dara OShea. So yeah, moving on to Kyle Bardsley, who I think has been a good servant to the club and has done some good things. I thought he was actually all right in the Premier League under Sam Allardyce. Thought he looked a lot better, especially through that kind of I think it was that period where we'd beaten Brighton and we drew with Everton, and we kind of looked like we might be mounting a very late survival push. But in the end, I think he looked really good then. But I'm convinced that he should be one of the players to leave as part of the rebuild. I'm not saying that he's a problem, he's an issue at all. I just think the defence needs a bit of a refresh. I think O'Shea's sort of a bit of a refresh because we've not really seen him as much as we wanted to over the past season. And then there's a couple of other younger centre-backs that I might like to see giving a go. So I might let Bardsley go if a good offer comes in for him. But I wouldn't be looking to actively sell him, but I would be looking at offers for Bardsley. If you can get any, then perhaps the chance to let him go would be now. Yeah, what do you guys think? I think you guys are pretty much with me on that one. But yeah, I do appreciate what Bardsley's done, and he's been a good player for us, and especially during Ishmael's time, he was very solid at the back. But keep 22.2% of you say that, 76.5% say sell, and 1.3% say loan. So yeah, the majority of you, once again, over 3/4 of you, sticking with Bardsley to leave Albion this summer. Moving on to another centre-back. We've got, as I said, the squad is flooded with centre-backs. Sheyi Ojo, new contract recently. I think he's one of the best centre-backs that you could want at this level, in my opinion. I think that he's definitely up there sort of as one of the better players. I don't think you could replace him without spending, between probably £5 and £10 million. I think that's probably what he's worth. But I think if you were to replace him, that's the sort of price you'd be looking at. So to have him already in the ranks, I do 100% agree with the contract extension, and I think that's a really good thing to have. Of course, an international with Nigeria regularly goes away with them. I think he has to start. I think I'd start him and O'Shea together next season as we begin the campaign. I think them two are very good, and I think they'd work well together. And I think we saw a bit of that last season in a back three. But yeah, I think he's one of the better centre backs you could have at this level without spending that sort of amount of money. So for me, Sheyi Ojo, I'd keep him. I'm a big fan of him. I do think his reading of the game is pretty lacking at times, but 90% of the time, his pace gets him out of that trouble, and he rarely does really make a bad mistake. I think obviously Steve Bruce being a defender will probably help him, but yeah, I look forward to seeing Sheyi Ojo. I can't remember what his contract was. I think it was 3 years or something like that, but I think he's definitely worth the contract extension, and I don't think you could find many at this level that would manage to sort of improve the squad. Without spending a large amount of money. So yeah, 90% of you guys saying to keep Sheyi Ojo, 8% of you saying to sell him, and 0.7% of you once again saying to loan Sheyi Ojo. I've got a feeling somebody's just been pressing loans on all of these polls, but yeah, absolutely, Ojo, keep him in. I look forward to seeing him in an Albion shirt next season. Moving on to Keane Bryan. It's a bit of a difficult one to judge. We've only really seen him once, haven't we? Coming off the bench against Hull, playing against Hull, I think he did, and got injured in that particular game. I'm a little bit concerned for his Albion future, if I have to be completely plain with you. I'm not sure where he fits in with Steve Bruce. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for Keane Bryan, but I think it would be pretty harsh to sell him because, as I said, he's only played those sort of couple of appearances that we've seen of him. Yeah, of course, very unlucky to have that injury, and we hope that his rehabilitation's going well. But yeah, for me, I'm not sure Bryan will get a look in with Bruce, and therefore the only option is to sell him. But I might keep him around. But yeah, I just feel a bit bad for him. He's really unlucky to have come in as sort of an emergency sign in for those centre back injuries we had at the beginning of the season, and now to be looking at him, only seen him sort of once and only just got injured on a 2-year deal as well. Yeah, to keep him, I think 23.8% of you have said to keep him. Sell, 70.2%, and 6% of you saying to loan him. So yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I feel bad because he's kind of had a rough time with his injuries, but at the same time, we do have to think about the squad, and his wages could be one that we could free up. But I'd like to see him in Steve Bruce's plans and maybe give him a chance in pre-season as well. Cedric Kipray, the final of probably the more senior centre-backs. Yeah, I think I expect to see Cedric Kipray leave. Of course, if you haven't watched the latest round of Albion transfer updates, you'll see me do a little bit of talking about Cedric Kipray. I think he's really good on the ball, and I think one of the better ones in the Championship at progressing the ball forward. However, off the ball as a defender, I'm not convinced that he's got the ability to play in centre back or judge the balls correctly. I thought he looked really decent under Ismail for a period of time, but there are times where I think for a big guy, he looks really quite weak in the air and quite weak across the floor and quite slow as well. So I expect to see him leave. I probably would agree with that, which is a shame because I like him, and I like a centre back to be able to bring the ball out the back. But I'm not convinced that Kipray is going to be the guy because of his defensive defects, and I think Bruce agrees with that completely, and that's why we haven't seen him so far under Bruce. To 22.4% say keep, 75.6% say sell, and 1.9% say to loan Kipray out. So yeah, majority, once again, 3/4 of you saying that Kipray should be leaving the club. Caleb Taylor is an interesting one. Yeah, I think he's the best youth prospect at the club. Of course, 19 years old. I think it's probably time for him to get himself a Championship loan, or maybe a League One loan if we're saying that. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking he might be ready for this level. I seriously do. I think that he's probably about there. But maybe it's time to go and get some minutes first. But I think if he wants to play third choice centre back, maybe you could bring him in. But yeah, maybe I'm tossing and turning with myself because there's part of me that says I think he is ready, and there's part of me that says maybe go and give him a loan to shore himself up. But of course, there's a long list of people waiting for Taylor to kind of be given the chance to go on loan. Lots of teams in sort of League One looking at him, so maybe I might give him that chance. But overall, I think that he's definitely going to be playing some regular football next season, whether it's with us or with a different club. So 41.6% say keep, 3.1% of you say sell, and 55.3% of you say to loan him out. Onto the fullbacks now, and finally ending off with these last three players. Connor Townsend, I think he's been a decent player at both Championship and Premier League level. I think he's done a decent job. Yeah, I think he's definitely better suited to fullback. I think he hasn't kind of had that competition. Of course, Adam Reach playing when he was playing at wing back and sort of deputising to Connor Townsend. But I think he's definitely better suited to that fullback rather than the wing back kind of role. Yeah, I'd keep him personally. I think he is a really good malleable asset that you could kind of bring into a different kind of role that Steve Bruce wants him to do. And back in that fullback position, I'm confident that he'll probably flourish. So yeah, I'd definitely keep him. And you guys seem to agree. 83.9% of you say keep. 15.5% say sell, and 0.6% say loan. So yeah, Connor Townsend, I think, is definitely going to be an Albion player next season, and I just think maybe a backup to him might be in order if you can try and find one. And Darnell Furlong, for me, he needs more competition as well. I think you need to have somebody behind him chasing him. That's why we're looking at James Bree from Luton Town by the looks of things, suited to defensive duties rather than kind of moving forward. I don't think he's very natural at taking players on, to be honest. But these are things you can improve. I think you bring him in, but I think you keep him, but you bring in a right back that could equally match him or better. I think you have to create competition. For far too long, I think Furlong's been really comfortable. And same with Townsend, that they're not going to get dropped because they know that they're the only, apart from the youngsters, the only fullback there. I think that there needs to be more competition in that role, and that's why I think that Furlong and Townsend would probably benefit from an understudy and a competitive one. So yeah, you guys think 61.1% say keep, 36.6% say sell, and loan 23.3%. So yeah, or 21.3% rather. Yeah, that looks about right. I think that's probably fair. And yeah, maybe he could do a job, but I think there needs to be the backup to him before we start, and I think there needs to have that backup behind him in order to excel. It's really good when Townsend had Gibbs sort of interchanging with each other under Bilic and in the Premier League as well. I think that worked well. Finally, Zac Ashworth. I think he's a backup to Townsend. I think he's a good backup to Townsend, and I probably would use him this season if you can. But yeah, I think he's a good young prospect. Looked really bright, very tenacious. So yeah, I might say that he'd be a decent signing to keep in the squad and sort of keep behind Townsend and see how they do. But yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe loan him out possibly, but I think I'd definitely try him as an understudy to Townsend. But 41.9% of you say keep, 1.5% of you say sell, and 55.6% of you say loan. And that's the end. That's the end of the goalkeepers and defenders section of our keep, sell, or loan videos. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Of course, we know that the rebuild is coming, so stick around for all the latest transfer news. There'll be another couple of parts to this coming as well with midfielders and attackers. The polls are already on the Twitter page, so at the Baggies Pod or at Louis Ben to go and check those out and to have your say. Drop a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.